Hey everyone, Nux333 here, and I know I promised a response to my Sonic the Hedgehog movie video sort of thing, and so here it is. So basically, these are my thoughts of what a Sonic the Hedgehog movie in a society like today, and what would fit in nicely for the fans, and basically stuff like that. My idea of a Sonic movie. Keep in mind that this is my idea for a Sonic movie. I know there are some ideas possibly that people are just going to be like, oh, that would never fit, or oh, this is totally not how I see it, blah 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 blah. Look, I know that people are going to have different opinions, but this is just one of those things that is just really ridiculous to fight over. So basically, these are my ideas for a Sonic movie. If you agree, let me know in the comments, and if you don't, let me know what you didn't like about my idea and stuff like that. If possible, make a video response telling me your ideas for a Sonic movie, and I would gladly watch it and leave a response on that video. So now, I get into the video. So think of it like this. One of the as I've stated in the last video, and please watch the last video, link in the description. As I stated in the last video, the basic conflict always focuses on Sonic going to bust some badniks so that he could beat up Eggman, his arch nemesis. Here's my idea of a plot. How will Sonic and Eggman really become enemies? To get them started on their whole, arch nemesis sort of thing, we want to start Sonic off as what he normally is. As a little peaceful hedgehog, he's how he is basically now. He has his sense for adventure, he's fast and stuff like that, and he lives in Green Hill Zone. I'm just assuming Green Hill Zone because it's that one zone every Sonic fan knows about. Think of that as his home. Why else would he start off there in the first Sonic the Hedgehog game? Think of that as like a home to him. So he's sleeping there. And I'm not necessarily saying Sonic should have parents or something like that, or should have a family, but he should just be there. Whether or not he lives with a family or not is up to the writers or whatever. So think of it this way. Sonic lives in a house, in Green Hill Zone. He lives there. He's totally relaxed there and stuff like that. And, things are going alright. It goes to Dr. Robotnik's perspective. I'm calling him Robotnik for now. For a reason. It goes to Dr. Robotnik's perspective, and it goes to show that he is this scientist that is capable of being a genius, but yet his opportunities always come out a little on the evil side, so no one really appreciates him. To force his appreciation onto people, he plans to build an ultimate weapon that is disapproved by the entire everyone, basically. No one approves of this idea. No one on Mobius, and I'm going to use Mobius as the planet because I feel Earth is a little generic. I want to make it a little unique, so I'm going to use Mobius. So everyone on Mobius agrees that Eggman is a complete nut job. And I'm going to add a few humans here. They're not going to be too important to the plot, but they're just there to get my point out. And plus, I think there are humans on Mobius. I'm not exactly fully sure with this. So basically, everyone thinks, Eggman, Dr. Robotnik is a total nut job. And that he should be, kicked out of there and stuff like that. And basically, this is where you start to see a more evil side of him. He starts an entire Batnik attack. He introduces his Batniks and all his deadly robots and stuff like that. And I'm thinking most of his robots from Sonic up until Sonic to the classic era up until some of the most notable ones. Maybe save some egg pawns up for the sequel and his more newer robots later. But use some of his more retro robots, the earlier ones, not the newer ones and stuff like that. I feel that would work a little better. And so he starts introducing his Batniks and stuff like that. And basically he starts raiding places, and he's like, in order to get the Death Egg up, we need materials. So he starts raiding these different places, having Batniks infest them and stuff like that. Sonic is starting to hear about this, and he's like, man, this guy doesn't sound like a cool guy, doesn't he? And so this is where Sonic, he doesn't do much yet. This is where Sonic starts to become a hero and basically realizes what he has to do. Eggman, or Robotnik still, I don't know, I just used to call him Eggman, darn it. Basically, Robotnik, Eggman, whatever, he raids the Green Hill Zone among his little shortages. And what he uses to rate the Green Hill Zone is he wants the trees, for example. They contain some mystic energy. So he uses his classic Egg-mobile Wrecking Ball thing, which is, as you guys know, is the first boss of Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Him and his Wrecking Ball sort of machine. And so he's tearing down the trees. This is where Sonic and Eggman have their sort of first confrontation. Sonic's like, you can't cut down these trees, and this is my home. What kind of person are you? And he's like, forget you, I'm Dr. Robotnik. I'm the world's greatest scientist. I will take over the world. It will all be mine. And his old evil gimmick there. Sonic's like, heck no. This is where they first square off. And in the process of this, Eggman gets away. Sonic knows Eggman is still out there and is planning something possibly even bigger and could be a threat to his home and to everyone's lifestyle. And being the caring person he is, he decides, I'm not gonna let this Egghead, or Eggman, which is where his little bit of his Eggman name comes from, I'm not gonna let this Eggman get away with this. I decide that he's gonna be called Robotnik at first, and at first he's gonna be like, stop calling me Eggman, it's Robotnik. But towards the end of the movie, he basically is like, screw it, I'm Dr. Eggman now. I want to make that as a little bit of a joke, to basically, you know, not to give a middle finger to Genesis fans, or those nostalgic Sonic fanboys, but just as a little conflict argument there. You know Sonic fans are gonna laugh at that, the whole Dr. Robotnik versus Eggman scenario. I think that would be a nice little touch there. That's just my opinion, my little idea of a movie. So Sonic goes out to try and stop him. So at first, you're looking at a bit of a Sonic 1 sort of storyline, because it's only Sonic and Eggman for now. As he's moving along, he'll meet some side people who have no relevance, but are there. And basically try to give the story a little bit of a boost, and Sonic's going up to stop Eggman. This is where we start to get the brother feeling out, and start to get the feels out. Because around here, we want Tails to come around, Sonic's sidekick. And this is like the second quarter of the movie. So Sonic is going around, and this is where the classic Sonic and Tails meetup happens. This is loosely based on all the Sonic and Tails meets up. Basically, Tails has plane troubles, and I'm gonna decide to make it Tails' plane. I know there are these things where it's actually Sonic's plane, but Tails flies it and repairs it and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna go with this thing where it's sort of Tails' plane. He crashes it, and Sonic's like, hey, you know, you really were in trouble there. And he's like, thanks. They have their little brotherly meeting, similar to all their other meetups, and they start to get a little bit of a relationship. At first, Sonic sees Tails as sort of an annoying little add-on, and he's like, okay, you're there, you know, you can tag along. But as the movie will develop, you start to see an everlasting friendship between them that lasts in the later games, and why Sonic decides to take him on as a full sidekick. And he's like, you know what, bro? Thanks. That's what I want Tails' role to be. Sonic's not just Sonic's sidekick, but that brotherly image, that person you're gonna be friends with because they don't leave you, they don't let you down and stuff like that. That sort of person. And that's gonna create the feels for this sort of movie. So moving on into the story, I have another character I possibly wanted to introduce. Again, these are my ideas for a movie. I'm not saying Sega's gonna go by these ideas, and I guarantee like 90% Sega would never go by these ideas. But think of Amy Rose. Say she's in a village and she hears about Sonic's reputation. She's like, huh, well, this Sonic guy sounds sort of cool. And she starts hearing more about him and gets a picture of him and finds stuff about him. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna leave the village and I'm gonna go track this dude down. And people are like, well, you're insane. And to which he's like, I don't care, I'm going to find this Sonic guy anyway. And you know how Amy is, being a stalker and whatnot. And so that's a little bit of the comic relief there. Amy popping up now and then. Sure, you'll have Sonic and Tails' noobish moments that could act as a comic relief, but then Amy will come in and sort of ruin the seriousness that is sort of starting to build up, but is actually slowing down again because of Amy coming in. So as Eggman and Sonic and Tails have their clashes every now and then, Amy is not really involved in this. She just pops up every now and then to add some that comic relief. So as Eggman and Tails Sonic and Tails have more of their clashes and stuff like that, things get a little more intense. This point would be a little nice, like say they're at like a fourth zone or area, this part would be good to introduce them to say, be like, hey, have you ever wondered what these gems are like that we found? Say that ever since the beginning of the movie, they have been running across into these gems, and it would be a small, like, little part. They'd be like, oh, gem. And later, they'd be like, what do these gems do? And they'd be like, Sonic be like, and then it goes to Eggman, and he'd be studying this, and he's like, what do those gems do? Oh my god, they are the Chaos Emeralds. And then Sonic and Tails start to learn a little more about the gems too, and we all know about the Chaos Emeralds, and that'll get into their origins and stuff. And then that'll be put away temporarily. So then, as the movie progresses on, a new antagonistic role so that things don't get repetitive is introduced. I want to introduce Knuckles, of course, favorite character, and let's introduce him because he's basically another important Sonic character. So as Eggman is going along with his process, he's like, man, I need to do some more thinking, but I can't with Sonic and Tails being a pain in my rear end. I need to get someone to do this. Enter Knuckles. Say Eggman is taking a stroll or something towards the movie. He's tired of his losses to Sonic and Tails, and he's just like, oh, what is this? And it's like Angel Island. It doesn't go into Angel Island's origins and stuff like that, but it teases it, possibly for another movie. So Eggman is like, well, hello, Knuckles the Echidna. Knuckles the Echidna introduces himself, and he's a little aggressive to Eggman. And as you know, Knuckles is very aggressive. And Eggman's like, Echidna, and he starts telling lies that sort of get Knuckles to target Sonic and Tails, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go straighten these guys out for you. And he takes off, and he goes and tries to be an antagonistic role for them, and Eggman's like, woo, that was a sucker right there. And so now Sonic and Tails have to deal with Knuckles and the shenanigans with him. So in the two encounters they'll have with him in their fights, I want to end Knuckles' antagonistic role a little early. I don't want it to drag towards the end of the movie, because I feel that dragging that on into a sequel would make things a little longer. So towards the movie, as Knuckles' antagonistic role is starting to wear off a bit, Knuckles is starting to realize that Eggman basically duped him. So he joins their group at first, popping up every now and then, and basically being like, you guys, I don't give a crap about you guys. I'm just in it because I want to beat the crap out of the Eggmen for lying to me. And basically, Knuckles doesn't really warm up to them. But as the movie moves on, he starts to even warm up to them. And even though he doesn't like Sonic and Tails, and he thinks of them as a pain to him, and he's supposedly this tough guardian that had to work for everything he did, as to where these guys don't seem as disciplined and rough as he is, and that's why the main reason he doesn't bond with them. But as the movie goes on, you start to see that Knuckles is starting to even warm up to them and lose his cold heart and stuff like that, making Knuckles that, BA, kick butt, and bounty hunter sort of guy that we know and love. And then he starts to warm up to his personality a little, but while still keeping his tough image. Amy is still popping up now and then. So as the movie moves on, Eggman is starting to get a little bit more production on his Death Egg, getting ready to freaking launch the thing. And he's like, you know what, I can't wait to launch the Death Egg soon. Mobius will be mine, or whatever planet you would think would work well. And so he's starting to get that Death Egg up. This is where things start to get a little panicky and things start to get serious. The comic relief even is toning down a bit. And Sonic's like, Tails, never would have gotten it far without you guys. Knuckles, I know you've been a pain in the rear end. Yeah. And Tails, I know you're my sidekick and fitting for Bumblebee at first, but if we work as a team, we can really take this guy down. And I'm not talking about the old Sonic Heroes thing, like, let's do this with teamwork. No. I'm talking about that little cheesy moment that's cool while still remaining a little cheesy in their own way. And I feel that was something that made Sonic. I always felt that was what made Sonic cool in a way, that even some cheesy moments could be a little cool if done right. And I feel that this would be a good moment to make things cheesy. Not make things cheesy, make things cool. I'm so sorry. Anyway, back to my idea of a plot. Along the way of this span of the movie, before I get into my idea of a finale, my idea is basically that add cameos. I'm not saying freaking add Shadow walking in a plaza going I'm just Shadow the Hedgehog, don't mind me. Heck no, that would make no sense. I'm saying add a few cameos. Sure, you can have some characters, familiar faces walking in the background. Think of some unrelevant character that you didn't really need and have him walking in the background. Have Big make a cameo appearance possibly. He's sleeping in the background or fishing for like 2 seconds and stuff like that. Have cameos, have references. How would the elements in gameplay of Sonic translate? You have Sonic and Tails and Knuckles and all their abilities and stuff like that. Think of a realistic approach to that with fighting styles and stuff like that. Mostly fighting styles. Sure, you can have Sonic using his speed. Make Sonic's speed his attribute. You know Sonic is about that Sonic speed. So make that his main attribute and gimmick with his fighting style and with how he approaches a situation. With Knuckles, make him seem like this really tough guy that has a good standing on his abilities. And he thinks that with his good standing, that's what makes him so tough. But despite Sonic being able to outmatch him. Tails, make him seem like a little noobus at first. Make him seem a little useless at first. I know that's quite ironic because I hate how characters are useless in the games now, but Tails, make him seem like he's useless in the beginning. Like Sonic's like, you're no use to me. Make him seem noobus and stuff like that, but make him sort of build upon his character. Put his smarts and all the things that he's known for into work, including his fighting skills. Don't just have Tails be a techie person like you do in the games currently. Have him fight a little bit, not throw down fully like Sonic or Knuckles would. Have him throw down a little bit, have him be like a little kick butt, like say he's on his computer or something like that. Some enemy comes up, he can take down a basic enemy, but don't have him, throwing big enemies up into the air and kicking all sorts of butt and stuff like that. Just have him like that. Amy, just in there. I will admit, have Amy show some sort of shocking strong side to her every once in a while. Like, for example, say there's a comic relief moment where Sonic's like, Amy, it's dangerous around here, and she's like, heck no. And then all of a sudden something would come up and she'd just go wham with her hammer or something like that, and Sonic would be like, how the crap did you do that? And I'm not saying don't make that an exact line, because this movie would be more of a PG sort of scale. 100% like PG. I'm not saying PG-13 because something like that would be like Shadow the Hedgehog or Sonic 06. And I use those games not because I think those games are terrible, but because the mistakes of those games made the mistakes of those games. If those mistakes translate over to a movie, those will stay within the movie too. So it's important that you know mistakes in your games and good things in your games and know how to translate and balance that within a movie that could possibly represent the franchise. And now that I've gotten my basic ideas out and stuff like that, how about a little bit of a conclusion setup? So say Sonic and his friends are going and they're a little bit too late for the death egg. This is where it makes it seem like Eggman is starting to get the upper hand. It makes Eggman think, ha ha ha, Sonic, I am now winning, and have Amy be captured and stuff like that. And Amy's all like, help, help, and stuff like that. And Eggman's like, I got the upper hand now. And so this is where Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are like, well, oh crap, we're losing. Give that bad guy that upper hand. The bad guy always needs that upper hand to give this movie some sort of suspense or something like that. Always give that bad guy that upper hand. So make it seem like all hope is going down a little bit, and then this is the part of the movie where they're like, alright, there's gotta be some way we can chase down the death egg. Say, for example, they go to a set of characters that could possibly help them out. Who would be an interesting bunch of characters that could possibly help them out with this task? I can't pull up many characters that could do that, but here's my suggestion of possible characters that could come in. Think of Team Chaotix, for example. They're a group of free characters that have pretty basic personalities. Say Knuckles is like, well, we can't reach the death egg now, but I know some guys that could hook us up with a way to get to the death egg, Sonic. And they're like, sure. And this introduces Team Chaotix a bit. I'm not gonna say they're just there. They have a little story relevance there. And I'm just saying that they're Knuckles' friends. They hook them up and they're like, hey, Sonic, we'll help you out and stuff. At least that's Espio. My Espio impression, not Vector. Vector would be more like, hey, Sonic, we'll help you out and stuff like that. And say they're in there and they decide to take Sonic to the death egg and stuff like that. and they're good supporting characters in that sort of light. And Team Chaotix is pretty well known as well, and stuff like that, and so they would fit in okay. So now they're getting to the deathing, and this is where I build up my idea of a conclusion. And you know how Sonic conclusions are. They are basically pretty kick butt in the end, no matter how bad the game could possibly be. Conclusions can be sort of kick butt, unless you're playing Sonic Free Riders. But other than that, yeah, so you know how conclusions are. So say Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are going into the deathing, and this is starting to really show what they've learned throughout the movie. What has Knuckles learned? Knuckles has learned to take things with a little more heart, don't be so serious, and stuff like that. What has Tails learned? A little bit more skill into him. Yeah, he's still the techie guy, noobish guy that we all know and love, but yet he still has a little skill to him. And what has Sonic learned? Well, don't make Sonic seem too invincible, but make Sonic learn some experience. Have him sort of, you know, get more used to the adventure sort of feeling. At the beginning, have him a little stumbling at the adventure sort of thing, even though he is a natural born parry at it, and have him make him struggle and think, you know, I can't be overconfident with this actually. I may be a show off most of the time, but I really gotta come up and step it up. And so make Sonic, you know, really bring out the best of himself during the fights and go on into the fights. This leads to a big showdown. As the big showdown commences, say for example one of the side characters, Knuckles or Tails, tries to go and save Amy so far. Knuckles gets sidetracked by, say for an example, I'm thinking Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Mecha Sonic. Say Knuckles gets slowed down by Mecha Sonic, and it has to deal with him. And it's revealed Mecha Sonic stole the Master Roll, an item that was briefly seen earlier. And Knuckles tries to express how important that item is. He tries to find him a bit, but starts failing a bit. And despite the fact that Knuckles is getting a bit of an upper hand, it escapes with it to Eggman, and Knuckles is like, crud, I hope the others have it under control. And say Tails fights this other robot. Say there's this little right-hand robot at Eggman's command throughout that movie. And Tails is sort of supposed to mirror that, and stuff like that. And Tails ends up beating that little commander robot to a pulp. And Eggman has plenty of sidekicks, so he could easily replace that. And then you've got the big showdown between Sonic and Eggman. But before that, Sonic's like, I want Amy back. And Eggman's like, did you honestly think you were just going to come here and demand her? This is where Eggman reveals that the only way to beat Sonic's perfection is with another Sonic. This is where you sort of introduce that rivalry between Sonic and Metal Sonic. Have that Sonic CD in there. So have Sonic square off with Metal Sonic. Make Metal Sonic a huge mental test for Sonic. Because you know how Sonic is with Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic's a big coffee cat and stuff like that. And a real pain to Sonic if it can really be done right. Have Metal Sonic be a sort of mental test to Sonic, and he's like, this guy, I have to really think in order to beat him. And have Sonic end up defeating him in some extremely clever way that not even Eggman could predict. And I'm talking Eggman because that shows Sonic's not just basically killing off Metal Sonic, but Sonic showing that Egghead, not even your smart self can predict me. And so then we get to a bit of a conclusion. Sonic saves Amy and stuff like that. And maybe a little bit of romance. I'm not saying out of nowhere they should be like, oh, Sonic, and just make out scenario or something like that. Just throw in that cheesy romance that even Sonic's a little awkward with, usually. And he's like, yeah, whatever, babe, I saved you. Yeah, cool. Time to move on with the plot. And stuff like that. And so as Sonic is coming and thinking it's a little bit over, this is where Eggman pulls out, like, say, his strongest machine, such as his robots towards the conclusion of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. He's just like, alright Sonic, you can't stop me now. And say he says, you may have stopped me, but I have the precious master ammo. So say Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails' raid has damaged the death bed, and now it's sinking it basically. And that's going down, and some characters are watching that all unfold. But Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, as they're returning to safety, Sonic realizes that this is a challenge that this is going to prove whether or not he can truly be a hero in this scenario. This is where Sonic is going to go Super Sonic, and he's going to be like, time to bring out everything I've learned. And he becomes Super Sonic. And then he just goes in and fights Eggman's ultimate little robot there. His iconic robot blows him up basically. knocks Eggman out, and Eggman's like, you still won't stop me, or something like that, and pulls out some sort of final result, to which Sonic just blows away. And he's like, you know, I'm Sonic the freaking Hedgehog, and just blows away. And then just grabs the Master, returns it to Knuckles and them and stuff like that, and Knuckles starts to restore a lot of faith and trust in the Sonic, despite the fact. And he's still sort of a hardcore person, but you can see that cold heart that was seen towards the beginning of the movie is starting to melt. You can see that. And you can see that Knuckles is starting to really warm up to Sonic. And even Tails and Sonic flat out just become partners. And Amy is just full on bent on the dude. That's where her little obsession starts there. And this would make a perfect ending for a movie. And that is where I would end the movie off there. So what did you think of that? Well, personally, I think that's an okay idea. My idea of the movie, I don't mean to brag or boast or anything like that, but I have a lot of confidence in my setup, my idea for the movie, and I would hope that Sega would do something a little similar to that, because you can add in, every once in a while, add in references that even the most modern or retro of Sonic fans could still get, but yet still have that storyline that portrays the basics of a Sonic. Now, here's another topic that I'm going to touch real quick and then end the video. Sequels. Based on the storyline I gave there, you know, how would sequels fit in? Well, remember how I said add in cameos and stuff like that? Well, obviously a sequel would focus on Eggman is back, suckers, and stuff like that. Have Eggman come back bigger and bolder and stuff like that, and build new robots, basically have a new approach in different ways to mess with Sonic. Have a new environment, have Sonic discover a more modern environment, and take on Eggman with his friends. What would a sequel focus on? Sonic Adventure plot? Sonic Adventure 2 plot? You never know. That's all I have to say. I have no ideas for a sequel, but I do have an idea for a basic movie. And depending on how Sega approaches this movie themselves, that's up to them. I just hope that it is a little similar in mind in terms of basics. That's all I have to say. Be sure to leave a video response telling me what your ideas for a Sonic movie is and what you think about all of this. I guess I can end it off here. Nux333 out. Hold on, Nux333 out. Thanks you for watching.